Hi, and welcome back to Just One More Chapter with Emily. We are currently reading The Interpreter by Brooke Robinson. It's a story about Ravel Lee, an interpreter in London who is also attempting to adopt a little boy out of foster care named Elliot. There is also a mystery character that I can't quite put my finger on who that might be. So, if you are not caught up to chapter 23 on The Interpreter with us, I suggest you go back to my page and listen up until chapter 23. If you are all caught up to chapter 23, then grab your coffee, settle in, and let's get started with chapter 23 of The Interpreter. Every woman should have a younger friend, Doreen had said, 2 fingers pinching the stem, wine glass held almost horizontal. You know how some women say you should at least once in your life sleep with an older man? That's bullshit. That's a man telling them to say that. What they should have is one friend who's 20, 30 years younger. She pointed her glass at me, then refilled mine from the bottle of Shiraz on our table. Cheers! 2 in. Inter... She'd evidently had a few drinks before I had arrived. Intergenerational, I offered. Yes! Her goblet is held high above her head. Intergenerational friendship. Cheers! Do you know, Doreen's words are sticking together, why it was you who I wanted to come out with tonight? The sleeve of her blue cardigan was perilously close to the tip of a candle flame. Before ignition, I caught her wrist and dragged the candle closer to me. Because I was twice nominated fire marshal in my university hall of residence? Because you're young. I hate the authenticity that is a buzzword now, but it's true that younger people react authentically to shitty situations. You have no experience of them yet. They haven't happened to you. So you're not performing, you're not acting according to the rules, just copying what you did the last time one of your uncles died, or when this or that happened to your father. This is all new to you, so you feel it and you're listening. You're not sitting there nodding along, but actually thinking about your pending divorce or how you're not going to meet your next mortgage payment. I am a bit worried about my next rent payment, actually. Cheeky sod, drink your wine. I really like this place. Gordon's Wine Bar is essentially an underground cellar by the Thames, a cave that's cozy in winter but ferociously stuffy in summer. Its Dickensian decor survived the turn of the 20th century and the Blitz. My favorite drink is the delicate pink port. It really is the best bar in London for when something shitty happens. Are you going to tell me now what that is? Doreen had called me yesterday, upset. I knew it was work-related, but she didn't want to talk about it over the phone. Now she raised one finger while she threw her head back and chugged the rest of her wine. A child died on my watch this week. I was his social worker. His mother, he was in care when Her voice gave out. She exhaled and rallied. I made the decision to return him to his birth mother 6 months ago. He's from a good family. They aren't underprivileged in any way. The mother had him in the car on Monday when it was 90 degrees Fahrenheit, with all the windows closed up, tinted so nobody could see inside. She went off to score drugs, and by the time she went back to the car, hours later, he was dead. That's terrible. I'm so sorry. I'd read something in the newspaper about a little boy dying and wondered if it was the work-related incident Doreen had obliquely referenced on the phone. The child was my client, but it's not my fault. Of course it isn't. What could I do? She was a junkie, sure, that's why she forgot him in the car, but I followed guidelines. There were no grounds for going down the adoption road. Foster care is supposed to be temporary. The best result is a child returned to birth parents. That's what we're supposed to aim for. I subtly moved the remaining bread and hummus from my plate over to her side of the table and encouraged her to eat. I'd had enough nights out with Doreen to know that the articulate phase of her drunkenness was when I should really be worried. I'm sure you didn't do anything wrong. I'd only known Doreen for a little over 6 months, but we had become fast friends. Let me show you this. Doreen fumbled in her bag. A droplet of wine escaped my glass and soaked into the wood. She extracted her phone, then shoved it toward me. A news article from a tabloid with the headline, "Worst Social Worker in Britain." And under that, a picture of Doreen. I gasped. The mother had a history of drug abuse. I returned the boy to her. I was responsible for him. I may as well have killed him myself. I darkened Doreen's phone screen and swatted her hand away when she went to open the article again. I've been told to expect more. In the tabloids. I'm going to be famous. I'm sorry. I don't want you to read them, but I know that's a stupid thing to ask you not to do. Of course I'm going to bloody read them. I know. We were silent for a moment while I adjusted Doreen's necklace, which had twisted around her throat. There might be half a dozen of the same crimes in the UK each month. Women murdered, children neglected, violent home invasions. For some reason, only one of these ever eats up the media coverage. The cutest child, the whitest woman, the most beautiful home, as though readers only have capacity to empathize with one victim in each category. Unfortunately for Doreen, her dead child in care would be the one that rose to the surface, and people love to hate civil servants. What is work doing for you? To help, I mean. It's their responsibility to fix this, right? I asked. Make these articles go away? She shrugged. I went to the doctor today for some sleeping pills. He asked me what was going on. I ended up telling him everything, that I was basically accused of being a child killer. No one's calling you that. They are, Ravel. I'm being recognized on the street. Anyway, he refused to prescribe them, the bastard. I think you'll sleep well tonight, I nodded toward our second bottle of wine. It feels worse today. Tuesday was when I heard what had happened. Now the shock's rubbed off. Underneath is all the guilt. It's really latched on like a leech, feasting off me. Do you want to keep being a social worker? You're not trapped, you know. You can do something else, if this is how they treat you. They've given me 2 weeks leave from work to get over it. So, I can drink as much as I want tonight. I'm going to go out every night for the next 2 weeks except for Saturday. Gotta leave one night a week for the amateurs. I can take the day off work tomorrow, I offered. We could have brunch. Lunch if you're sleeping off what will be your epic hangover. See a film, wander around the gallery, yeah? She puckered her mouth and shook her head. Don't worry about me. Work's just covering their arse in case I'm suicidal like Jenny in HR over her Shetland pony. You can tell me if you are, I said, having thoughts. I know. We paused as chatter from surrounding tables rose to crescendo. Then Doreen started speaking again. When I was 15, I bought 2 packets of stuff from Superdrug, a pale green and red label, the strongest painkillers you could get over the counter. I was planning to take them all very early on a Sunday morning. I got up at 5 o'clock while everyone in the house was still asleep. I used a family power cut flashlight and sat on the floor in the dark, looking up the drug in my father's medicine dictionary. It said that death was rare, so I started to worry that 2 packets would only put me in a coma. I went back to bed. Got up again at 6, filled the bathtub with cool water, and threw in my mother's hairdryer. When it was time for me to jump in, I just stood there. I didn't want to die anymore. Now I can't remember why I wanted to do it in the first place. But that was it. I only had to try it once. I've never thought about it since. Even now, the experience of doing it, of physically going through with it, of knowing I could plan it and take it through to the end if I wanted to, seemed to shock me back into life. No pun intended. What's that? You said it shocked you back into life. That sent Doreen into such a fit of laughter her cardigan was almost lit by the candle once again, and our empty wine bottle rolled and bounced along the floor. After the laughter came a deep lull. I never went to religious schools, and my mother didn't have any kind of faith, I said, but sometimes my international schools would cover world religions in class. I always remember this thing in the Jewish Bible called Cities of Refuge. Do you know it? She shook her head, hummus clogging her teeth. I might not be recounting this exactly right, but basically God told Moses that he needed to reserve a certain number of cities to serve as places of asylum for those accused of manslaughter, for anyone whose actions accidentally led to the death of someone else. Immediately, I regretted my use of the word manslaughter. I was trying to be a supportive friend, but I worried I was only making things worse. I didn't mean to suggest this is your fault. It isn't. I know it isn't. I was leaning forward, both hands splayed on the table for emphasis. I know what you mean, she smiled. It's a nice thought. The idea is that the accidental perpetrator would be looked after inside the city walls, protected from acts of vengeance or undue punishment. They'd live within the walls until the current reigning high priest died. Then there'd be a kind of reset. While everyone else was busy mourning the death of the priest, the accidental killer would quietly return to their home, everything forgotten. Doreen considered this for a moment, then her phone began to ring, and she pushed it into my face. It's this journalist who's been trying to call me all afternoon. Ignore it. Let's get some more food. Those fries from Five Guys, you love them. The ones that soak up the booze like cheap bathroom rolls. He'll keep calling. Answer it for me, please. Her voice a cross between a slur and a whine. What do you want me to say? Something stupid. Talk bollocks, so they'll stop calling. Tell them you're my publicist. I swallowed and pressed accept. Doreen crouched by me, her ear next to mine. I told the journalist I was Doreen's friend, and they asked me what she was like. She's a volunteer netball coach, I said. And on Wednesdays, after training, she takes the girls to her husband's hairdressing salon for a free haircut. Doreen mouthed, "What the more bollocks," as I stumbled over ahs and ums, wondering what else to say. She also does it for the elderly. Doreen will bring a carload of senior citizens in from the nearest care home every Friday and let the new color technicians have a go at doing highlights or tints or scalp bleaches for the very first time. You know, trying things out on someone who doesn't know what's going on. Isn't that lovely? She's very community-minded. Mission somewhat accomplished. The journalist realized he was being punked and hung up. "That was brilliant." Doreen held her side as she laughed. "Wow, you're dark. I didn't know where you were going at first. I thought, bloody hell, she's actually going to talk about the time I was coaching Lauren's netball team. How is Lauren?" Doreen's 18-year-old daughter was up in Durham for her first year of university. She's joined Extinction Rebellion, you know, the environmentalist group who shut down roads and train stations and stop people from getting to their jobs. Right. It was obvious that, underneath, Doreen was proud. I keep telling her that human extinction is probably a good thing, the best thing if you want to save the planet and the animals. I mean, what's their number one problem? People. "I know you won't leave without a whiskey for the road," I said. "I won't leave without a whiskey for the road. You sit, I'll get them, and mind the freaking candle." She put her hands up, all innocent. "By the way, your outfit is ridiculous." I called from my way to the bar. Her individual pieces of clothing were perfectly fine, but the combined effect was one of a scrambled rainbow. I wanted to look though I was deranged in case one of those journalists snapped another picture of me for their paper. Make them look ridiculous for harassing a clearly unstable menopausal woman. "If they're going to your house, why don't you come and stay at mine tonight? Didn't you move last month to a studio in Deptford with rats?" "You remember," I said, my hand to heart in mock flattery. "Okay, yeah, staying with you is a good idea, just for tonight." When I brought our whiskeys back, Doreen's phone chirped and she whipped it out of her bag. "It's another news story." "Stop reading them. It will drive you mad." She was quiet for a minute as her eyes raced across her phone screen. Then she passed it to me to read. "They've been calling him Child X for privacy reasons, but now they've finally released his name and photo." I stopped blinking. My body ceased to breathe and pump blood and fire neurons and whatever else is required to stay alive. Doreen saw the frozen look on my face. "Oh yes, you recognize him," she said. "In all the craziness, I forgot. You saw that little boy once. Max. That was how you and I met, wasn't it? The mother's native language is German. It was your first interpreting job for the local authority." I looked up from Doreen's phone. I couldn't meet her eyes, so I focused on a picture of the Queen on the wall behind her head. How could I look her in the eye ever again? He seemed like a nice kid. My words came from some dark, hollow place inside. Doreen nodded, then rested her head on the table. I excused myself for the bathroom, pushing my way into a stall and fell to the floor, sobbing. Chapter 24. For the rest of the week, Elliot and I settle into the flat and explore our new area. I complete the enrollment of my boy in the local school and sort out his uniform, and on Sunday we have a final outing to the cheap Thai restaurant and mini golf course. We both go to bed earlier than usual, exhausted. When I wake, it is daylight. I scramble for my phone. It's 7:10 in the morning. Elliot's first day at his new school. I tumble to my feet. "Elliot, wake up! Breakfast now! Come on!" I'm thankful to myself for at least sorting his school bag last night. I get him fed and dressed, and we are out the door by 8. On the footpath, Elliot walks slowly by my side, scuffing his feet. "Are you nervous, Batman?" "It's natural to be scared about starting a new school, but it'll be fine. You'll make friends. The children will be friendly. I hope that's true." He lifts his head. "I'm not scared." "Okay, good. Just checking." The school is a little bigger than his previous. There's more concrete and fewer plants, but the play equipment looks new and the classrooms more spacious. We arrive with 5 minutes to spare before the bell, and I introduce myself to his teacher. He seems nice, 22 years old at most, with the zeal of someone newly qualified. I leave the school grounds feeling that I've left Elliot in good hands. Back home, I unpack the last of our boxes, which I've been putting off. I haven't had a chance to find a suitable interpreting assignment for today. I'll have to do some extra overnight shifts on Language Line to compensate for the income I missed last week and the fact that I'm paying 2 rents. While I'm adding new cushions to our cracked faux leather sofa, I see that there's a handle on the side. It's not just a chair, but a pull-out sofa bed. I think of Marius Durabek sleeping outside last night and every other night. Before he had Adam Birch for company and for safety, but now he doesn't even have that. He could stay in here, on this sofa bed. No, I dismiss the idea as quickly as it arrives. Elliot is my priority. Marius seems very nice, but he's still a stranger and I can't invite just anyone into our home. If I didn't have Elliot, then I could help him. If my circumstances were different, I would do something, which is probably what everyone tells themselves as they walk by him in the tunnel, eyes trained on the dirty walkway, on the concrete, never on the human. Later that morning, a text shows up on my phone. Hi, I'm Alicia. I saw your sign in the tunnel at Knightsbridge. It was me who called the paramedic for the homeless man that evening. He was struggling to breathe. I'm sorry I didn't stay. I've been thinking about him. The sign has been up in the Knightsbridge walkway for a week, and this is the first proper response. Here we go. This is something. Maybe exactly what we needed. I type a message back to Alicia as fast as my fingers can manage. What paramedic is she referring to? I remember what Lippman said in his office about Adam having severe asthma and being frequently in and out of hospitals. This woman called an ambulance for Adam? This could be it, I tell myself, a rock-solid alibi. I fly around my living room looking for my handbag. Where is it? I need to go. Go! I find it and yank the nearest pair of shoes onto my feet and head to the train station. Marius is dozing when I arrive. I gently shake him awake and translate the text message. The paramedic came around noon, Marius says in Polish. Adam has these breathing episodes sometimes. They look like asthma attacks. Someone walking past at lunchtime must have called an ambulance. When they turned up, Adam refused their help. He hates hospitals. He says he never wants to go back into one again unless he's bleeding to death. Adam told this to the police? He nods. The ambulance was gone by 12:30. The murder didn't happen until between 6 and 8 o'clock at night, many hours later, so it was not relevant. Right, I sigh. A while after the ambulance left, Adam was feeling a bit better and said he wanted to sleep, so I left. I went to get food and drinks, and I came back to the walkway at 5 o'clock and was with him all night, like I said in the alibi interview. So this Alicia person, I gesture to my phone, can't help us with an alibi. Our cardboard sign is dirty and struggling to adhere to the wall. Marius unpins it and slowly rolls it into a subway. It was worth trying, he says. It was a good idea, but not good enough. Right, I say. This woman isn't a witness, but what about the paramedic? If Adam was so unwell he needed medical attention, he's unlikely to have broken into a house the same day and killed someone. Adam said that to the police. He was still weak for the next 24 hours. He couldn't have fought anyone, killed them, but because he'd refused help from the paramedic and didn't show his ID, police said there was no patient that day with that name. No medical record, no proof. If he had gone to the hospital, he probably would have been an accidental and emergency all evening or on the ward, and an inarguable alibi. I should have tried harder to convince him to go. No, I didn't mean that. I can't have Marius thinking any of this was his fault. We stand there, both looking into the distance, out through the exit of the tunnel into the dull autumn day. We come to an unspoken agreement that we've reached a dead end. Neither of us knows what to do for Adam. In the silence, my mind wanders to the supposed pits of the dead close to here, bodies from a leper colony buried near Knightsbridge subway station. I rub into the dirt underfoot and ice goes up my spine. I lead Marius into a nearby sandwich shop and insist he let me buy him whatever he wants. I don't think I can spend any more time with Marius after today. I don't trust myself in his company. The urge to reveal, to tell him everything, is becoming irrepressible. Sometimes I think confessing is all I ever really wanted. About the German job, about Doreen, everything. I wonder if I adopted for insurance, because I'd never want to expose them to the consequences of me confessing. I'd never go through with it as long as I had a child. Plenty of criminals give themselves up in police interviews, even before they're presented with the mounting evidence against them. I've seen suspects in interview rooms blurt out details of their crimes before we've even properly sat down. Why are humans incapable of carrying around a secret? We'll risk everything for the promise of forgiveness, so hard to resist. But I cannot confess. I cannot risk other criminals from my past assignments going free, and most of all, a jail sentence for perverting the course of justice, and Elliot thrown back into the care system. I'm so sorry for Adam, but this is what being a parent is. I have to choose my boy over everything, even my own morality. I say goodbye to Marius and tell him that I'll be in touch, but I think we both know that I don't really mean it. On the way home, I call the communications department of the London Ambulance Service NHS Trust. That woman, Alicia, walked past Adam for 30 seconds and called an ambulance as she continued on her way. No use to us at all, but maybe the paramedic recorded something in his notes about attending a man that day who refused treatment, even if he doesn't know the person's name. The call picks up. This is the patient experience team. Are you wanting to send a thank you card to a member of the staff? A man asks. I decide to go along with this. Yes, my friend refused treatment, I say. Perhaps my best strategy is flattery, but your colleague was so kind to him. I want to buy him a gift, but I'd like to speak to him first. If you could kindly find out the name of the paramedic who attended and have him call me back. My friend didn't give me his name, but it was outside in Knightsbridge in the pedestrian walkway at around noon on Saturday, September 16th. I gave a physical description of Adam and his age and we hung up. If I can't get Adam out of prison now, I must at least ensure he has the best possible defense team and is acquitted at trial. I need to find out how much a good legal defense costs. When I'm back inside my flat, an internet search tells me £400 per hour is a typical fee for top solicitors in London. Hundreds of hours of work would be needed for a murder trial, probably thousands, and that isn't including the barrister's fee and other court costs. I think of Lippman's dirty office in Wood Green and what kind of representation Adam will get if he's left to legal aid. He's going to need hundreds of thousands of pounds. I could work 200 hours a week all year, and I'd never raise enough to cover even half of it. I am soon short of breath, trying to slow my palpitating heart. I'm not anxious about the money because it's actually already here, available to me. But I would rather work 1,000,000 hours. I'd prefer to work a single shift which never ends, anything instead of taking that money. But I have to think of Adam and what I've done, and I know that I no longer have a choice. Hi, Richard, I type on my phone. Can we speak? I've had a change of heart about my mother's estate. I send the text, and in my mind's eye, I see my mother calmly walk to her closet, turning to ensure I'm trailing behind her. She extends a stepladder and pulls her wheelie suitcase down from the high shelf. And she packs. Slowly but methodically, she makes me watch, and I'm hooked. I can't look away. It's like the climactic scene of one of my favorite films. She's leaving, she says. She has had enough of me and is going to live somewhere else, but she won't tell me where. She says that I can beg, and that's the only option available to me. I can drop to the floor and plead for her to stay. I am 5 years old. The chime of my phone brings me back to the present. Richard has replied, I'm glad. I'll call you later tonight, your time. I want you to have it all. Actually, I wrote my own will this week. I've been meaning to ask you if I could make you executor. Can I leave it all to you and the little guy when my time's up? Think about it. I would like that a lot. Talk later. I put the phone down and go into Elliot's bedroom. Until it is time to pick him up from school, I lie on the bed, face down, breathing through his pillow. This portion is our friend from the prologue. I have become a gasper, just like Michael Hutchins and that MI5 agent they found in the trash bag. This is no autoerotic for me, but how else am I supposed to practice if not on myself? There are dirty corners on the internet where one can take instruction in the fine art of self-asphyxiation. What materials I use? I prefer stockings. Which precise spot on the neck to apply pressure? I've marked mine with a fabric pen. And which immobile object assists you with the knot? I quite like the simple door handle. Accidental suicide is obviously the greatest risk, but I am being very careful. I have a great deal to live for, after all. My son. A couple of times during my rehearsal sessions, I've seen sparkly stars and almost lost consciousness, but I'm always able to bring myself back from the brink. Some doctors say it takes 7 minutes for a human to die of a complete loss of oxygen. Others claim 4 minutes is enough to render the average person brain dead. There is a formula. It isn't foolproof, but there's a way you can calculate the approximate time it will take to kill a particular person this way based on their size and your own weight and strength, assuming you're the one who is going to apply the pressure. Do you want to know what your number is? Oh, I have no doubt you do. Not yet. I'm not ready. First, I need to train on someone. It has to be a person of roughly similar size and strength to you. Where's the flippin' vodka gone? My sister's voice charges up the stairs and destroys my quiet. It was here! She's shouting as I hear her open and slam the cupboard door. I've ceased trying to hide my pills and keep her away from alcohol. Let her self-destruct is my approach now. If she breaches the terms of her parole, then that would be ideal. She can go back to prison and be out of my life. It's best she's not here when my boy returns. In fact, it is imperative. I will not have him influenced by such a person, not after everything he's already been through. Vodka, she shouts again, and my nails spear into my palm. Coming! My voice is dripping in honey. I need to practice on a neck that isn't mine. I have some damson liquor I've not opened yet, I tell her when I reach the kitchen, eyes glinting up at hers, my smile wide. It's a new batch. Would you like to be the guinea pig? And that's the end of chapter 24.
Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell to hear the wrap-up of what happens with Ravel and Elliot and our mystery character. If you have any suggestions on books that you'd like to hear me read next, drop them in the comments. Thanks for being here, and I'll catch you guys on the flip side.